She built a YouTube empire calling me a narcissist. Then the internet found out who the real manipulator was that I didn't find out about Samantha's YouTube channel the normal way. Not from her, not even from social media. I found out on a random Tuesday morning, at work, from my coworker Jake. He slid his phone across my desk with this cautious look, the kind you give someone before a bomb goes off. "Dude," he said quietly, "you need to hear this." On the screen was a YouTube video titled, "Dating a Narcissist, Episode 12, The Silent Treatment." The thumbnail? A picture of me. Blurry, zoomed in, but unmistakably me, wearing the same blue jacket from our trip to Colorado last summer. At first, I thought it was a bad joke. Then I heard her voice. Samantha's voice. "When you're dating a narcissist," she began, "they'll punish you with silence when you stop feeding their ego. They'll disappear, make you beg for attention, then come back acting like nothing happened." Her tone was calm, rehearsed, like she'd practiced it in front of a mirror. Then she laughed. Like last November, when I forgot to text him after work and he ignored me for 2 whole days. Classic narcissistic control tactic. My jaw clenched. I remembered that night clearly. She didn't forget to text. She came home drunk at 3 a.m., smelling like tequila and some guy's cologne. I told her I needed space. That was it. Now, apparently, that was emotional abuse. Jake was watching my face like he expected me to explode. I just stared at the phone, numb. I scrolled down to the video description. All names are real. Because I'm done protecting abusers. My full name was in the tags. My job title. Even the name of the city we lived in. She had 41,000 subscribers. And the comments section was full of strangers calling me a monster. "You're so brave for speaking up, girl. I dated a man just like him. He deserves to rot alone." My hands were shaking. I clicked her channel page. 15 episodes. All titled like chapters in a psychological horror novel. Episode 3, When He Mocked My Trauma. Episode 7, Gaslighting 101. Episode 10, He Said I Was Crazy. Episode 15, The Final Straw. Each thumbnail was another slice of our relationship. Photos from our vacations, my mom's birthday dinner, even one from her sister's wedding. My stomach twisted as I realized she must have been recording me. Some of the clips had my actual voice, faint but clear enough. You could hear me sigh, say, "I'm not arguing right now," or even apologize. I sat there, in a silent office, replaying her words in my head. "He's not a monster, just a narcissist who thinks he's the victim." That line hit harder than I expected. Not because it was true, but because it was crafted. She knew how to twist things to sound believable. I listened to every episode. All 15. It took me 3 hours. And with every video, I realized she'd taken pieces of real moments, actual arguments, normal relationship conflicts, and warped them into something darker. The first time we fought about money became financial control. The time I asked for a night alone after my mom's funeral became emotional withdrawal. The time she cheated became testing his forgiveness. By the end of episode 15, I wasn't angry. I was hollow. That night, when she came home, she was humming. Casual. Like nothing had happened. "Hey babe," she said, dropping her bag. "Can you order sushi? I'm starving." I didn't move. I didn't answer. She frowned. "What's wrong?" I just looked at her and said quietly, "Tell me, Sam, how's YouTube doing?" The color drained from her face instantly. Her mouth opened, then closed again. For the first time in 3 years, she didn't have a line ready. And that's when I knew. This wasn't just content. It was a performance she'd built on top of my life. And I was about to take it all apart. Samantha froze in the doorway, her hand still clutching her phone like a lifeline. She tried to smile, but it didn't reach her eyes. "Oh, so, you saw it," she said finally, her voice trembling just a little. "It's not what you think, okay? It's just content. It's not even really about you." I stared at her. "Not about me?" I repeated, keeping my tone even. "Because last I checked, my name's in the title, my photo's in the thumbnail, and my mother's birthday dinner is episode 9. She winced. "It's symbolic, okay? People relate to real stories. I had to make it authentic. You wouldn't understand. It's creative expression." I cut her off. "It's defamation, Sam." She went pale. Then the defense mechanism kicked in. The same one I'd seen 100 times before. The tears. The trembling voice. "You're seriously going to make me the bad guy for sharing my truth?" I leaned back on the couch. "You didn't share your truth. You built a career on a lie. And you used me as your villain. Her breathing quickened. You don't get it. This is my job. People need my story. I've helped women leave toxic relationships. You think I enjoy talking about this? Yeah, I said coldly. I think you love it. For a moment, she just stared at me, her expression hardening, cracking like glass under pressure. Then, quietly, she said, you were never going anywhere anyway. You should be thanking me for giving your name relevance. That one almost made me laugh. Instead, I just nodded slowly. You're right. I do owe you something. She tilted her head, confused, but I was already walking to my office. I pulled up my laptop, opened YouTube, and started downloading every single episode. I saved the thumbnails, the metadata, and every hateful comment she allowed under my name. Then I opened a new browser tab and started drafting an email to lawoffice@martinreynoldsfirm.com. Subject: urgent, defamation and unauthorized use of likeness. By the time I finished writing, Samantha was pacing behind me. What are you doing? You can't just take my content. I didn't turn around. It's not your content. It's my life. That night, she slept in the guest room, or at least tried to. I could hear her through the thin wall, whispering angry voice notes, probably to her little fan club or her content manager, whoever that was. By morning, she was gone. So was half her stuff. And when I checked YouTube again, her channel was still up, but she'd pinned a new video to the top. He found the channel. Here's what happened. It had 150,000 views in 6 hours. I clicked play. There she was, in tears, sitting on the same couch I'd just vacated the night before. He's threatening to sue me, she said, voice trembling. I just wanted to heal. I just wanted to help others. But now I'm scared. She showed screenshots, blurred, but you could still tell it was my email draft. That was when I realized something. She didn't just want attention. She wanted to weaponize sympathy. She wanted me to react, to get angry, to prove her right. So I didn't. Instead, I called my lawyer, Martin Reynolds, a man who'd handled worse. I sent him everything: links, comments, even the clips she'd recorded of me without consent. He listened quietly, then said, "This is open and shut. She's monetizing defamation under your name. Let's handle this quietly, but effectively." By that afternoon, he'd sent a formal cease and desist to Samantha's business email and her brand partnerships. He also sent a DMCA takedown request to YouTube for every video using my likeness or personal information. And then we waited. For 3 days, nothing. Her subscribers kept defending her, calling me a narcissist, a manipulator, a coward hiding behind lawyers. But on the 4th day, YouTube struck down her top 5 videos. Her next post was furious. My content is being targeted by abusers trying to silence women. Her fanbase started cracking. Half believed her. Half began questioning everything. Then one comment appeared under episode 12 from someone named Lisa Parker. I worked with him. He's literally one of the kindest, quietest guys I know. Are you sure you're telling the whole story? It got 4,000 likes in 2 hours. Then another comment. Why is she using his mom's photo for clout? This feels wrong. The tide was turning. And that's when Samantha texted me for the first time in days. Sam, can we talk? Please. This is getting out of hand. Me. There's nothing to talk about. The legal team will contact you. She replied instantly. Sam, I didn't mean to hurt you. It just got bigger than I expected. Please, don't ruin my career. I stared at that last sentence for a long time. Then I finally typed. Me. You already did. But that was just the beginning. Because 2 weeks later, after YouTube froze her ad revenue and sponsors began pulling out, I got a call from an unfamiliar number. When I answered, a woman's voice said, Mr. Cole, this is Detective Harris with the Cybercrimes Division. We received a report about unauthorized audio recordings made in your residence. And suddenly, Samantha's creative expression wasn't just defamation. It was a criminal investigation. And I hadn't even touched my biggest card yet. Update 1. It's been about 3 weeks since I first found out about Samantha's Dating a Narcissist YouTube channel. If you've been following my story, or if you happened to stumble across her videos before they started disappearing, you probably already know how surreal it feels to watch your own life turned into someone else's content. But you haven't heard what happened after the legal dust started settling. Because things went from bad to absolutely insane. The silence before the storm. For the first few days after the takedowns, everything was quiet. Too quiet. No texts. No calls. No social media posts. Then, on a random Thursday morning, my phone started buzzing like crazy. At first, I thought it was work. I manage logistics for a tech supplier, so constant calls aren't unusual. But these weren't clients. These were journalists. Hi, Mr. Cole. I'm with the Daily Chronicle. Would you be willing to comment on the allegations made by Samantha? Click. Mr. Cole, this is Rebecca from Channel 8 News. We'd love to get your side of the story about. Click. Cole, man, you're trending on Reddit. That last one was from my friend Marcus, the same guy who first sent me episode 12 weeks ago. I opened my phone and saw it. Hashtag Narcissist exposed. 280,000 posts and counting. Someone had leaked the takedown notices. Someone else had leaked her unlisted apology video, where she sobbed about being bullied by the man who ruined her platform. And then another user had gone full detective mode, cross-referencing timestamps, deleted comments, and behind-the-scenes photos to prove that half her stories didn't even line up chronologically. Turns out, Samantha had been fabricating entire episodes, adding fake screenshots, fake texts, even editing audio clips to make me sound like I'd said things I never did. One Redditor even synced up her supposed recordings with old podcast interviews where I'd been a guest for work, and the audio matched exactly. The internet wasn't just questioning her anymore. It was dismantling her. The call from her father. That Saturday, my phone rang again, but this time, it wasn't a reporter. It was her dad. Cole, he started, voice heavy with exhaustion. I don't know what to say. We had no idea she was doing all that. I could hear the regret in his tone. The man had always liked me. We'd fished together once during Christmas. He wasn't calling to defend her. He was calling because the illusion had finally cracked. She's not doing well, he admitted. The sponsors dropped her, YouTube froze her account, and the police called about those unauthorized recordings. She's staying with her sister now. I didn't say anything, just listened. Then he added, quietly, she said you're pressing charges. I'm not, I replied. Not yet. He sighed with relief, or maybe guilt. Either way, he didn't try to justify her actions. Before hanging up, he said something that stuck with me. She's always wanted to control the story. But I guess this time, the story controlled her. The email that changed everything. A few days later, I received an email from YouTube's legal department. Mr. Cole, we've completed a preliminary investigation. We confirm that several videos on the channel dating a narcissist used copyrighted material, private recordings, and personal information without authorization. The channel has been permanently removed. That should have been the end of it. But 2 hours later, another email came through, this one from Netflix. We're reaching out regarding your involvement in a potential documentary project titled Cancel Culture, the cost of going viral. We believe your story provides a powerful perspective on the ethics of online storytelling. At first, I thought it was spam, but it wasn't. They had a real producer attached, and they wanted to feature my side of the narrative. That's when I realized something. Samantha had tried to destroy my name online. But in doing so, she'd accidentally made me the main character in a story she couldn't control anymore. The night she showed up, it was raining when she came to my door. I hadn't seen her in person since she stormed out weeks ago. Her hair was a mess, her makeup streaked. She looked smaller somehow, like the air had gone out of her. Cole, she whispered. Please, can we talk? I didn't answer at first, just looked at her, at the woman who had spent months publicly assassinating my character for content. Then she said something I didn't expect. You won. I lost everything. My sponsors, my friends, my followers. I didn't think it would go this far. Her voice cracked, and for the first time, she looked genuinely scared. I'm sorry, she said softly. I didn't mean to ruin your life. I studied her face for a moment, then said, you didn't. You just tried. She broke down right there on the doorstep. And even though a part of me pitied her, I didn't let her in. Because some doors, once closed, should stay closed. That night, I opened my laptop and reread the Netflix email. Then I clicked reply. I'm in. Because if Samantha taught me one thing, it's that sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying someone. It's letting the truth do it for you. Final update that it's been 6 months since that night. Since Samantha showed up at my door, drenched and broken, and I finally realized the damage she'd done was no longer my burden to fix. 6 months since her YouTube channel, Dating a Narcissist, vanished, her sponsors disappeared, and her followers turned from blind supporters into an angry mob demanding answers. And in those 6 months, my life changed in ways I never could have predicted. Because when Netflix said they wanted my story, I didn't realize they meant our story, the story of what happens when truth and fiction collide on the internet. And someone's reputation becomes just another currency in the social media economy. IT premiered last Friday under the title Cancel Culture: The Cost of Going Viral. They interviewed everyone: me, my coworkers, even the therapist who'd first noticed Samantha's narrative-shifting tendencies. They showed clips of her old videos, the ones that survived in the corners of the internet, the ones where she'd sit in that pink-lit bedroom, tears running down her cheeks, saying things like, "He isolated me. He gaslighted me. He made me feel like I was crazy." And then, side by side, they showed the real texts, the unedited audio files, and the emails that painted a completely different picture. One where I'd spent months trying to help someone who was quietly building a brand off my patience. For every fake abuse story she sold to her audience, there was a receipt. The plane ticket I bought her when she said she was broke. The rent payment I covered after she quit her job to heal. The messages where I encouraged her to go to therapy, which she later twisted into emotional control. Watching it all play out on screen was surreal, like reliving a nightmare through someone else's eyes. But it wasn't about revenge anymore. It was about truth. When I first heard they'd reached out to her, I didn't think she'd agree. But she did. In the final 20 minutes of the documentary, they show her sitting in a dimly lit studio. No makeup, no bright lights, no performative tears. The interviewer asked, "Do you regret what you did?" She hesitated for a long time, then finally said, "I regret that I needed people to believe me more than I needed to be honest." For a second, I almost believed she meant it. But then she added, "I just didn't expect him to fight back the way he did. Not what I did to him, but how I reacted." That's when I realized she still saw herself as the main character. Even in defeat, she needed to be the victim of someone else's story. The documentary went viral within 48 hours. Trending on Netflix, millions of views on YouTube clips, and an avalanche of think pieces debating who was right, who was wrong, and what narcissism really means in the age of online storytelling. And somewhere in that chaos, I finally felt peace. Not because I'd been vindicated, though that mattered, but because people finally saw how easy it is to destroy someone's life when lies are more entertaining than truth. My inbox filled with messages. "Thank you for telling your story. I went through the same thing. You gave me hope to stand up for myself." It wasn't fame. It was clarity. And I'll take clarity over closure any day. The letter. Last week, I got a letter in the mail. Handwritten. No return address. But the handwriting was unmistakable. Qley. I watched the documentary. I wish I could say I hated it, but I didn't. It was fair. Too fair. I'm trying to start over, away from cameras, away from all of it. I hope someday you can forgive me. Sam. I didn't respond. Because forgiveness isn't something you send back in an envelope. It's something you grow into when the noise fades and the scars stop itching. The last scene of the documentary showed me walking along the pier near my apartment, the same one Samantha once filmed vlogs at, back when we were just two people in love, not two sides of a viral war. The narrator said, "Sometimes the story we tell the world says more about what we fear than what we've lived." And as the camera panned out over the water, I thought about that. Because maybe Samantha's biggest fear wasn't losing followers, or money, or reputation. Maybe it was losing control of the story and realizing she was no longer the narrator. I don't hate her. I don't wish her harm. But I also don't wish her back. The world got its show. The truth got its voice. And I got my life back.